That is a problem. Okay, now can she hear me? Okay, so we'll give it a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and start with the purpose of the meeting. The purpose of the meeting is to, are we good? So good. Cece? Yeah? Okay, so the purpose of the meeting is basically to update the sanctuary, make it lighter, brighter, more inviting, more comfortable, and to make the space maybe a little more flexible. So as far as the process and a little history about how this all started, last spring, Session was asked to identify some areas of the church that needed some improvements or some updating. The sanctuary was one that was identified, taking the library and repurposing that room, doing some changes to the CE building, and at some point updating the courtyard and the front parking lot over here. I volunteered, which I may be regretting, no, I was on Session at the time, to be in charge and head up the sanctuary task force. I asked several people. Carol Faber is on the committee. Steve Pierce was. Nancy's taken his place. And then to get new eyes, I asked Michelle Schofield, who is relatively new, to be on it. They're moving this summer, so she's not been involved anymore. But to just like take a look at the sanctuary and see what we thought might make it more friendly, more updated, and more current. And so the next thing that happened was in January. No, that was in January. So that happened in the spring. Later on, I think it was probably late summer, Session approved to hire an architect and a decorator to help us with the process because we just don't have the skills. And so Session approved that. We hired an architect and a decorator, and the architect came up with some plans. We told him kind of the areas we wanted improvements of. And then in January, you guys have all noticed all the road work going along over here. Well, for that easement, the county bought the land from us. And so Session approved taking that money and earmarking it for capital and campus and building improvements. So that's how the funding is going to be. So there is money for this project. So the main thing that's going to happen is it's going to kind of bring some more symmetry back to the sanctuary. And so I'm just going to go through there's 4 basic areas that we're looking at changing in here or improving. And I am ready for slide 1, Trevor. Okay, so this is showing the west side of the church from the west parking lot. The west parking lot is where most of us park. And so the main entrance is really over here. So that new little structure there next, that's in darker, is basically adding a covered entry to that area so we'll have a place to get out of the rain. There'll be lighting there, and we're also going to make those doors handicap accessible, so there's just a button to push for people like Kevin who are in wheelchairs, so they'll have access without having to have anybody help them come in. So that's the change over there. Don't know if there's going to be a carpeting, one of those walk-off carpet type things there. I think there probably will be to kind of get dirt off the shoes and stuff before you actually come into the building. So that's the outside change over there. When you come into that fireside room, my hope is to get rid of the table we have over there for coffee and actually have a nice-looking coffee bar or a buffet there to put the coffee on so that we have something that looks a little bit more professional. Slide 2, please. That's not slide 2, but I can talk about that. It's okay. No, next one. One more. There we go. Except that's the wrong slide that I sent you. Oh, no, it's right. It's right. Okay. So I'm going to walk over there because I can't talk otherwise. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and make the seating a combination. Is this not working? That'll be a lot easier, thank you. We're going to take and have a combination of pews and chairs. Some people just love the pews and don't want to get rid of the pews. There's a contingent of people at church that are like that, and there's other people that think the pews are really uncomfortable. So what we are going to do is keep some pews in the back part and then add chairs to the front 3 or 4 rows And we're going to change the whole way this front area is. I don't know if you guys can see the blue tape here or not. But we're going to do, what the plan is to get rid of this stage here, have just one raised area in the middle for the pastor to stand, and possibly some of the singers and stuff when we have a choir or a praise team. And those pews will be removed, and then we're going to have the seating coming up closer to here. And then the piano and organ will be in the same area they are, but probably pushed back, and they'll also be on the same level as the floor, right? So we're reworking it so there's just going to be one raised area. The speaker outlets and stuff are planned to be along on either side of where the bench is, which is going to be gone, and have the outlets for speakers and stuff there. Let's see. Okay, and the whole hope is that that'll give us more flexibility in rearranging for different things. If we have concerts, we can rearrange the seating, and we can move the piano over farther and that sort of thing. That space over there. Yeah. And that gives us more flexibility. We can use it for seating. He has it set up as seating, but it may not be seating for the congregation. It might be seating for the people assisting with worship or music people. Okay? So that's the biggest change in as far as the layout of the floor. Okay, we're ready for the next slide. Or do the slide that shows that one. Okay, that's the right. That was the right one. There we go. Okay, so another big change is this front area where the cross is. We feel like this is really dark. So what the plan is to take, and instead of having the V come out, the V is going to go in where the seat is. The seat's going to be removed, and then I can go this far, can I? So this area will be inverted floor to ceiling, and the cross will be rehung in the back, and on either side of the cross you can see there's two rectangles. Those are going to be hopefully the stained glass that is in the narthex. We're going to move here in light boxes so that we can actually see them in the church. This door will be removed, so the only access back there will be that door over there. But since the choir would be sitting on that side, if we have a choir, if they needed to get into that room, that would give them access. And let's see. The organ pipes are actually not functioning back there. There's no speakers in that area that are being used anymore. Okay? And I'll take questions after I've gone through everything, okay? And then the last big change, last slide, is the loft. I don't know if you look at the loft, we have 3 different types of rails up there. And so what we're going to do is take all the existing rails, the wooden rail, the pipe rail, and take it and do one of those cable and metal support. And that shows it up there. So it'll be that cable and metal support all the way along there. And the other thing is those glass that's up there, the one of them being a different color. Carol Faber can tell you about that. We're going to remove that glass and reglaze it with clear glass to get more light coming in. And then I don't have a slide of it, but in the narthex, we're going to remove those wooden doors, put clear glass doors, and then where the stained glass is, put clear glass with windows that actually open a little bit on the bottom so we can get a little bit of ventilation coming in. And then possibly, depending on cost, the doors we have back there that are open that only have one window, replace those with doors that have more light and more windows so that if we do close them, we have more light coming in. Okay, so as far as the things I've talked about at this point, are there any questions? Yes, Sue. Okay, so the back 4 pews will stay. The 4 pews in the very back will stay. But a little bit farther, they're very tight, so a little bit farther apart. So, and then, so about 6 inches farther apart. So they'll probably end up about where Nancy and Abigail are. And then from there on, we'll have 2, 3, or 4 rows of chairs. And the chairs, I have a picture. Steve, can you go get the picture of the chair? And the chairs we have, several of us went over to another church, although nobody else besides me is here that went. And we tried out these chairs, and they're really very, very comfortable. Oh, you were there. Yeah. And I didn't intend you to pass it around, Steve, but thank you. I was just going to hold it up. Anyway, so we'll have chairs there, and then those same chairs would be up here, and I'm sure we'd have to get extra chairs. We'd put those same chairs up in the loft, and then we'd probably get extra chairs, so if we ever had an event where we needed to put chairs in the fireside room, we'd have matching chairs to go over there. And the chairs will have a rack for books, a place for communion cups, and I am planning on getting cup holders to put either on the back of the chairs or the back of the pew, so every row will have about 4 cup holders, more if we need them, so that we have a place for coffee cups and hopefully replace, have less spillage. We'll be getting new pew cushions that will blend with the carpet, with the fabric we pick for the chairs, which that has not been selected yet. It will not be the red. The theme, as far as color, is going to be kind of a muted green and a white, so that these walls will be a lot lighter. And then behind the cross will be a drywall or whatever you want to call it, that'll be painted, so it'll also be lighter. And then we'll put backlighting behind the cross, so the cross kind of is accentuated. There was one back here first. Marshall. It says on here, it's around 200. The seating will be very similar to what it is now. According to what the architect figured out, the row of pews supposedly can sit 12 people. That means you're squished pretty tight. The chairs will be a row of 10. So I guess you can figure, little children would take some space there. Sue. They are, yeah. And in fact, apparently there's a rule that if there's more than 4 chairs, they have to be able to be interlocked. But yeah, they hook together. But they're easy to take apart and move around. Yeah. There is a fan, and it should not be affected. They should be able to work around it, because the inverted V, there's that big box room. Anyway, I don't know if you could see it, but this is the chair. There's 2 different styles of chairs that Sherry sent me a blog about, and the Comfort Tech actually has more supports in it inside. It's a little more expensive. The chairs run about $45. So, and just so that you know, the price of refinishing the pews and getting cushions is about double the price of the same number of seats with chairs. Yes? The guys crawled up there and looked at it. I've had I've been meeting so many people out here, it would be amazing. I've had 4 different contractors. They've all crawled up there and looked at it. They really don't know what it's going to be until they can take that stuff behind the cross down. But they don't seem to think it will interfere with the fans that are existing. Yeah, but that's kind of over on the side, so I don't think it's going to affect right behind and that's the thing. I haven't gotten any bids. I got one bid that was kind of ballpark figure, but I haven't gotten any detailed bids yet. And to be honest, they're saying is until they get that down, they really can't give a firm price, because they just don't know what's up there. But they don't think it's going to be, hopefully the fan and stuff won't be affected. Yeah, and the plan is definitely to keep the circulating fan. Okay, any other questions about the changing? I'm not talking about color and carpet. We're going to be changing the carpet, of course. Yes, Alana? The exterior doors in the narthex will go from the solid wood to glass. These doors, the swinging doors, talking about the architects talked about just adding glass to those doors, but the guys that came out said it's more cost effective to just buy new doors. But replace those doors with doors that have a little more glass. Probably the lower glass would be obscured and the upper glass would be clear, and we may not do that. It would depend on the price, because we have them open most of the time anyway. So depending on how much it costs, those may or may not be replaced. Yeah. The hope is that the stained glass will be removed, and then underneath the cross on two sides they'll be hung up there with light boxes, so it looks like they're outside. And yes, that's why we want to hopefully move it in here so that we can, yeah, so we'll be moving it in here so that we can actually see them, because most people come in that door. And then those beautiful stained glass that are on Kayvon's office, I'm really hoping we can maybe move those into a light box kind of over here so we can, but we have to find somebody that can do that light box stuff, and that's been a bit of a challenge, yeah. So the whole carpet's going to be replaced everywhere. And this is the carpet we're looking at. That's the one we selected. It's a gray and black kind of mottled color. And we would use this same carpet in the CE building and in the library/conference room and probably Nancy's office, because those are kind of connected. So, yes. Okay, so the plan is to have the organ and piano where they are. They won't be raised, they'll be on the ground level. And we don't have a choir right now, so either the choir will stand over there, or when they sing, they can come up here and sing, so it won't be too far away from the piano and the organ, and then go back and sit down. What? Yeah, the praise band could be over there. They'll be here, but since the seating will be, this will be gone, this is where the new raised platform will be, so it'll be here, but it'll probably just be pushed back farther. Yeah, see, he put, the picture he had him up against the wall, that's not gonna work, and I know that's not gonna work. No. I talked to Lon about that, I talked to you about that. The architect knew nothing about music, even less than I do, which is not very much. But no, they'll be here, they'll just be back farther, and the piano will kind of be where I am standing here now. So you guys could, if they're playing together, you'll be close enough to see each other, and then this could be moved out. Right, yeah. I don't know where the organ speakers actually are. They are actually up there? Oh, I thought they were those. So we'll have to figure that out, because we haven't been able to see, we can't see behind there. So yeah, the speakers will have to be, they'll just be in the inverted wall. That's the only piece that I haven't had anybody come out to look at, is all the sound stuff, because there's all kind of wires running across there that we're going to have to rework. And we might get a wireless amp or whatever. I don't, just all mystery to me. But that'll have to be figured out. Yes, Marshall. Well, so far I don't even have a bid yet, so. The contractors, thanks to COVID, everybody's remodeling. And so it'll be, the earliest somebody told me would be like July. And that was 2 months ago when they first came out. It's been a very slow process. A little frustrating. Yes? The heating is in the floor, so that's obviously staying. We're not doing anything with that. The only thing is, where the pews will be, we're going to keep the cement. It'll have to be repainted and, and have it look nicer, because it's pretty nasty. So fill in the holes and paint it to match something that will blend with the carpet. And then the cement will probably there'll be more carpet kind of back where Nancy's sitting, so there'll be a little less exposed cement, and the rest will be carpet. And I'm thinking on the raised platform to have an inset of a lighter carpet around it so that it's obvious that there's a step there. Yeah, Dieter. So yes. That's all going away. That'll be ground level. Yes. Where the V is, that'll be the graphite and will be painted. Yeah. The wood staying. These walls will be painted, but the wood is staying. The only other possibility is in front, where depending on how the the railing goes with the loft, where that wood is in front of the loft, that might be drywalled and painted. Now, they wanted to paint, the decorator wanted to paint that whole back wall a lighter color, but Carol and I vetoed that. For now. In the fireside room, the decorator would like to take those beams and have them stain the same color as these, just to have a uniformity. But the only other change in the fireside room besides the carpet would be the floor. The heaters along the baseboards, which aren't working, will be removed, and then have a new buffet, either built-in, but probably just buy one that would be nice to put up against the wall there instead of using the table. And then I would want to get a glass top for it so that we wouldn't have to worry about spills and stuff like that. Okay, I think I had a few more things. Oh, we're going to update the lighting under the valances, where the lights kind of just hang down. Just put they have these really cool new can lights. They're not really cans, but they insert, and you can switch them to like 3 or 4 different types of light. And put those so they'd be a brighter, more light there. And I talked about a coffee service. Hopefully get a new communion table that doesn't weigh a ton. Maybe improving the lighting in the hall and the narthex, because those are pretty outdated and they don't even match, but again, that's a matter of cost. And then possibly, I was really hoping to get 2 of the windows up front, or up top, to open so that we can get more circulation, but because they're that weird shape, that would be extremely expensive. So we'll have the windows in the narthex that open, and possibly, I'm getting a price for, but whether we'll do it or not, I don't know, a skylight, either replacing one of the pieces of glass that's there with a skylight or adding a skylight that can open to get some more ventilation. Because in the summer, since we don't have air conditioning, it's hot. But that, again, is a cost thing, and we'll see how much it comes into. It would be remote control. Yes? Well, they're not windows, they pop open, but that doesn't give us a lot of circulation. But and those have to be open, I think, when we have the fan going, right? All you trustee guys. And like I said, hopefully we can get the windows in the narthex that open, and since we have those doors open most of the time, that'll give us a little more ventilation. So I'm just getting prices for everything, and we can pick and choose, session can pick and choose what we choose to do and what we choose to eliminate. Yeah. I have no plans to doing it. No, not at this point. I mean, somebody else wants to take that one on? We're going to have to do some changes just because we're going to be removing, all this stuff. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm sure it's a mystery what's under the floor I'm standing in. We have the outlets there and stuff. So all that, well, once we get all that down, we'll have to have somebody who knows sound systems to come in and rework all that. So, any other questions? Yes, Sue? That is a decision that session or somebody will have to make. I don't think we have room in the fire. I don't think we have room downstairs for any more. Trevor, maybe your mom wants one. So the story behind that is Trevor's mom's church went through this, and they chose to get rid of the pews, and some of the people were so upset. Some people, like his mom, took a pew home. So I don't know what we'll do with the old pews, but we will have all of these, and 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 pews to be donated or sold. Who knows? Somebody, we could maybe sell them. Not planning on changing this lighting. The architect actually liked it and thought it was kind of neat with the 3 lights representing the 3 entities. So, any other questions? Any questions from online people? Okay, that probably means nobody's listening. That's fine. Okay, good. So anybody else have any questions? So when I get the bids done, I will present those to session, and we'll move on from there. Yes? Well, I asked, So the one guy that I, so far, I'm really liking because he came out and met me, and then he came back a second time with his electrician, his door guy, his window guy, and really looked at everything. I asked him to break it down by, piece by piece, and I already have a separate bid for the pews and painting from a painter. So, the floors would be the last thing to do. So, I'm not starting with anything till session approves it. But I think we need to get a bid so we have an idea what it's going to be before we start anything. Yeah. I have no idea. There was a little over $300,000 from the road. Yeah. And that should not cost that much money. But I don't even want to guess because I haven't gotten a bid yet, so it would be such a... We're still in the planning, the plan's done, we're in the bidding stage and how much it's going to cost. And then the bid does not include, I have a price for the carpet and for the carpet installation and for the painting and the pews, but I don't have anything for any of the physical construction. So, thank you. You don't know how many times I've woken up in the middle of the night, I see you, and going, oh, what's going to happen? Yes, Sue. That's not my decision to make. I'm sure Session's hearing you. Oh, there we go.
You are not the first person who has asked me that question, and I have been here 17 days. Session really, including one session meeting, and so they are very aware that people would love to be back in the sanctuary, and they are also very aware of COVID recommendations, both by the CDC and the Oregon governor and the county and the health department and everything else. So part of it is we want to make sure that as we open ourselves up, that we are still being as cautious as we can, not living in fear, but also really trying to be respectful of where people are at with their own COVID meter. And the reality is, from the pastor and pastors, because there's a whole lot of us talking about it, because our pews are so close, it's really hard to social distance piece. Look at where you're sitting now, and how many of you had to crawl over somebody else to get to where you want to sit. So they are going to be looking at that. I am pretty confident to say that Session, it really is trying to do it with lots of conversation. So,
just one more thing. If you wanted to look at the color samples, of the carpet closer or the chair, I have it over there on that table where we have the coffee. So I'll leave it there. And I think that's it, unless there's any more questions. Thank you, dear.
we are so thankful that you could be here for this town hall meeting. I know that if you have other questions, I think I can safely say call or email George or ask in the office and we'll get a message to her, or any of those things. And I continue to look forward to getting to know each of you. But if there is nothing else, I know that the kids and some other folks are going to be down at the fire pit, so we want to wish them well and to be safe, but to also have a blast doing that. Not something they would do on a regular basis. Anything else for the good of the order? Awesome. My friends, go out into the world. Carry God with you. Carry the love of Christ, the grace of Christ, that we might spread it out to the world in which we encounter today and always. Amen. Thank you, Trevor, and everybody else who helped with setup.